Have you ever stopped to think about what actually secures something like Bitcoin or Ethereum? It's not some hidden vault or a guarded server room. Nope, it's this invisible engine, a set of rules that lets thousands of people across the globe agree on everything instantly. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that engine, the consensus algorithm.
I mean, think about it. This is the fundamental challenge that blockchain was built to solve. How on earth do you get a global network of computers, run by total strangers who don't trust each other, to all agree on one single shared history of transactions, and do it without any central boss, no bank, no one in charge to call the shots?
Well, that's exactly where a consensus algorithm comes into play. You can think of it as the official rulebook for a decentralized game. It's the process that makes sure every single person participating, every computer or node, has the exact same, identical copy of the financial ledger. This is how you get a whole network to reach an agreement, to reach consensus.
Now, the very first and still the most famous answer to this whole problem came with Bitcoin. And it was this brilliant kind of brute force solution called proof of work.
So, what is proof of work? At its heart, it's basically a system that gets participants, who we call miners, to solve an unbelievably difficult computational puzzle. It's like a non-stop global math competition. The first one to shout "Eureka!" and find the answer gets the prize, the right to add the next page of transactions, the next block, to the blockchain.
And this process is just a relentless worldwide race. You have miners all over the globe burning insane amounts of computing power, all competing to solve that puzzle first. As soon as someone cracks it, they broadcast their new block to everyone, the rest of the network quickly checks their math, and if it's all good, the winner gets a reward in crypto. And then, instantly, the race starts all over again for the very next block.
Okay, but what if two miners solve the puzzle at pretty much the exact same time? How does the network decide who's right? This is where a simple yet absolutely ingenious idea comes in: the longest chain rule. The rule is just this: the network will always accept the longest version of the blockchain as the one true history. It's a simple way to let the network correct itself and always eventually agree on a single shared truth.
But all of that computational racing, it comes at a staggering cost. The Bitcoin network, all by itself, uses about 95.58 terawatt-hours of energy a year. To give you some perspective, that's about the same amount of electricity as the entire country of Finland. Yeah, this massive energy problem was a huge wake-up call that a better way was needed.
And that hunt for a better, more efficient way led to the next big evolution in how we find consensus, a new idea called proof of stake. So, this is proof of stake. Instead of a competition based on who has the most raw computing power, proof of stake is more like a lottery. Here, participants, now called validators, are chosen to create new blocks based on how much crypto they're willing to stake or lock up as collateral. It's a huge shift. You're no longer proving you did the work, you're proving you have skin in the game.
And the differences are pretty stark. I mean, with proof of work, you need all this specialized, super expensive, power-hungry mining gear. But with proof of stake, you really just need the network's own cryptocurrency to put up as your stake. So the whole method for validating blocks shifts from computational power to your economic investment, which is a big deal for letting more people participate.
Okay, so these systems are designed to be digital fortresses, right? But what happens when that security is pushed to its absolute breaking point? What is the ultimate test for a blockchain? Well, that's what happens when consensus breaks. The absolute nightmare scenario for any blockchain is something called a 51% attack. This is where one person, or one group, manages to get control of more than half of the entire network's power. Whether that's computing power in proof of work or staked crypto in proof of stake, if you have that majority control, you can effectively become the dictator of the network and rewrite history. So here's how a heist like this would go down. First, the attacker has to get their hands on over 50% of the network's power. Then they go dark. They split off and start secretly mining their own private version of the blockchain. And because they control the majority of the power, their secret chain grows faster than the honest one. Finally, once their chain is longer, they broadcast it to the whole network. And because of that longest chain rule, everyone is forced to drop the real, honest chain and adopt the attacker's fraudulent one as the truth. And the fallout from this is just devastating. The attacker can double spend their coins. Basically, they can spend some coins on the real chain, but then erase that transaction on their new, longer chain. It's like buying something and then magically getting your money back. They could also block other people's transactions from going through, or just completely bring the network to a halt. It's an attack that just shatters the trust in the entire system.
And listen, this isn't just some scary bedtime story. It's really happened. Back in 2018, Bitcoin Gold got hit with an attack that led to an $18 million double spend. And in 2020, Ethereum Classic was attacked, leading to a $5.6 million loss. These real-world heists prove just how high the stakes really are.
So you might be asking, why doesn't this happen all the time? Well, here's the biggest offense. It is ridiculously, prohibitively expensive. As Hackin.io points out, pulling off a 51% attack is no easy task. For a huge network like Bitcoin, you'd need to buy billions of dollars worth of computer hardware, not to mention the massive ongoing electricity bill. That massive cost is the network's greatest shield.
Of course, the threat of these attacks has forced all of these networks to get smarter, to constantly evolve and build stronger and more clever defenses. So let's talk about how they're doing that. How do you build stronger chains?
Well, there are a few key strategies. The biggest one is just changing the rules of the game entirely, like when Ethereum made its historic switch from proof of work to proof of stake. Networks can also just make it take longer for transactions to become final, which makes an attack way more expensive to keep up. And in proof of stake systems, they have this awesome penalty called slashing. If you're a validator and you try to cheat the system, the network automatically confiscates and destroys your staked crypto. It's a powerful financial death penalty.
Ultimately, security is always going to be an ongoing battle. It all comes down to what this quote says. The goal is to tackle these challenges head-on, turn potential weaknesses into new strengths, and build a digital future that's more secure for all of us.
And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? On one hand, you have proof of work with its brute force, battle-tested security, but also its massive energy bill. And on the other hand, you have proof of stake, which is incredibly efficient, but relies on a totally different kind of economic security. So which model do you think will win out and secure our digital future?